Right guys, welcome back to the Joe Leesley Resilience podcast. Okay, this is episode 5. Delighted to announce that we've got a fantastic guest on available to us today. John Buckley, a mentor of mine growing up, an absolute fantastic professional footballer, an amazing coach. A lot of you that are dialing in today will probably know John as a football coach as well as a professional footballer. Had an absolutely fantastic career where he played for the likes of Celtic, Partick Thistle, Rotherham, Scunthorpe, Leeds United, teams that people could only dream of playing for. So thank you very much for joining us today, John, and giving us your time up.
No, brilliant. Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
The thing that probably pleased me most there when you said I was your mentor.
Yeah, no, but I think a lot of people that will watch this today from the connections that we had when we were coaching together, you know, when you did the mentoring stuff for the FA, I think a lot of people know you as John the coach because you have mentored a lot of people growing up and you're still working in the academy system, so people that are starting on the footballing journey have probably been coached by you at some stage in their life, especially around the South Yorkshire area.
Yeah, I mean, it's a brilliant feeling that, you know, when you see kind of kids, including yourself, that go on and do well, you know, it's a brilliant feeling to kind of sit back. And I don't mean that you've kind of done something to help them, but you've got a tiny little percentage in there where they've picked up on little factors that you've gave them.
No, definitely. And then just obviously we did a quick overview. Each episode's been a bit different about people's journeys. We've sometimes delved into more of a playing side, sometimes we've delved into the coaching side, and sometimes we've done a little bit of the injuries. So with John, obviously I just touched on his playing career there. We could be here all day speaking to John about his football career because it has been so impressive and the clubs that he's played for. What we'll do with you, John, is who was the best club? We named some, you know, Champions League winning clubs there, Leeds United, you know, top clubs in English football. Who was the best club that you felt that was perfect for you and who you played for at the time?
I would say the best club that I was ever at was Celtic. It was an education for me. I left school and went in there, and it was just a different world for me.
And as a young Scottish man, was it a proud moment to play for probably one of the biggest clubs in Scotland?
Well, it was. I mean, I was a Rangers fan, which is ironic, but when they came kind of chapping on the door, I knew I was going to be a player, but when they came, I had no hesitation whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I don't regret it. I probably have regrets that I never kind of sat it out and waited on my chance. But, you know, I had like 3.5 years there, absolutely loved it.
Right.
And, you know, probably seen a lot of the world as well. They just used to tell you, be ready, you're going away. And although you were cleaning boots and doing all the other stuff, you were still, it was...
in and around it and being a part of it.
It was just frightening.
Yeah.
You know, to see some of the best players in Scotland at the time.
Yeah, of course. And it's not always the case. Sometimes the best club you play for isn't always the best football that you play. Where would you say along your career where you had the season, a run of 10 games, run of 20 games, 2 seasons, 3 seasons, where you felt you were at your pomp, you were in the best form of your career? Where did you think you played that football?
It's quite a difficult question because, you know, if you had to nail me down and say one club, I'd probably say Rotherham.
Right.
But again, just kind of tucking in behind that, I loved it at Donny when I first came. Doncaster was brilliant and no detriment to the club, but I mean the ground was a shambles.
Mm-hmm.
But the pitch was dynamite. It was great for me because it was enormous, and I could run. So it was that side of it was brilliant. I loved the manager at the time, Billy Bremner.
Right.
And I think most young lads did. He just did something that he gave to the young lads, and he wasn't an outstanding coach. You would do anything for him.
Yeah.
And
if so, on that there then, with, you know, we talk about, you just mentioned for the younger viewers that might not have seen John play, you know, because I didn't. I've only heard stories of you, and you know, we're going off when we've coached, and I've seen your technical ability in that sense. You said there, you know, the pitch was big, it suited me. If you could probably put yourself to a modern day footballer now that's playing, who would you compare yourself to?
Well, it's quite interesting that we debate it when I go back to the things at other clubs when they invite the old players. I don't think I'd get taken now. And people go, you would. I really don't, because people used to say to me after that I was a tiny bit of a luxury, because I never worked as hard as I should going the other way. And it's interesting, you play in a similar position, you work as hard as you can, and you're a good player. But I got away with being allowed to kind of stay high and just kind of drift into areas, let people run off me.
So you're saying you're like a modern day number 10, bit of a luxury
I could
player?
have played the 10, I could have played either side if you played with a front three. But the game's changed massively.
Yeah, that's it. I definitely agree with that. I don't like it when people compare eras, pitches, all that. I think it's too hard.
No, and from my point of view, it's just people could come through the back of you back then.
Yeah.
And that's just stopped now.
Yeah, you can't tackle.
You can get the ball wherever you want now, and people can't do that to you.
No.
So that would have been a bonus.
Yeah. And then again, for the viewers that haven't heard a lot about John's playing career, unfortunately, at the age of 31, it were cut short.
Yeah.
A horrendous incident on a football pitch that led to quite catastrophic medical treatment and stuff, and you went to hospital, and then that was the end of your playing career. If you want to just give me a brief, what was the injury?
What actually happened was Rotherham were playing Plymouth on the day, and again it was a complete accident. It was a chap called Gary Poole, and we were just doing like a manoeuvre for my throw in, and as I've kind of dived to head the ball, he's came and hopped me from the side, and I don't remember anything else. It was probably I think it was like 11 days before I woke up. I did 2 clots on my brain, 2 blood clots.
Right.
And when I came round, I was really poorly at the time. I thought my wife was my first wife. So my kind of mental capacity had gone in a sense. And then it was just a case of, it was a slow process. And I was hoping that wouldn't be the end of...
So you didn't know straight away
that
it was going to be the end of football?
No, I think it took me probably 2 or 3 months. Even when I got out of hospital, I used to go every second day to a unit that would teach us different things about getting your grip back and working on your memory. And it sounds stupid, but I could walk to the bottom of the stairs and I'd have forgot what I was going for. So there was a lot of things that they kind of had to work on, and it's quite not upsetting. But when I think back now, if it happened now, I would get much more help than I did.
Yeah, and I think obviously you're talking probably 30 years ago.
Yeah.
When this happened, so even the medical industry's all changed. The football industry, the support that players get now, the physiotherapies that they have at clubs, and the technology that they use is vast, isn't it, compared to what it was. I suppose the big question that probably I'll ask you next is, obviously that's a ridiculously hard injury to take for anyone. Probably even me being someone close to you didn't realise at that capacity, the 11 days until you'd woke back up, the 2 clots. How did you cope as a young 31-year-old? You've done your rehabilitation. From being a professional footballer to never playing again, how did you find that?
Again, it sounds stupid, but it's even kind of thinking about it is hard. Because your life... if you've played football, it's kind of came to a standstill, and again, I really didn't know what I would do. I think I was probably 6 to 9 months before I felt as if I was even back, that I could do anything.
Yeah. And support wise, obviously, wife were great to you, family around you were great.
Yeah. Again, my wife's. She's dynamite. I just wouldn't have coped without her. But it was just the realisation of being out of something that you'd been in all your life.
I've spoke to a couple of people recently when we've done this, and they're talking around like ACL injuries that last year, a year of your career, and people go, it was the hardest thing I ever did. I don't know how I got back from it. Being away from the banter with the lads in the dressing room, the bus journeys, the overnight stays. So in your case, to kind of just stop, it were done?
No, I mean, definitely. I mean, I take drugs every day of my life. And that's not a complaint, but I have to take it because of the thing that's happened in my head.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got back to an alright. I mean, I know you wind me up, but I've got back to, you know, like a decent life. I've had quite a good life, but it was hard actually, just because you were on your own.
Yeah. And that's what, now the game's evolving, and the support that players have through the the PFA and all that stuff. There's probably a lot more around now, and you probably don't hear of the freak injuries that you've just explained, and there probably is a lot more support now. So for you to come through, that's credit to yourself anyway. And obviously when we first met probably 13-14 years ago, you were still playing five-a-sides and all that stuff, and everyone could tell that you are a good player.
Yeah.
So the transition, obviously, we just touched upon it there. We met 13-14 years ago at a college where you were coaching, you were doing the FA tutoring, all that stuff. Did you transition into coaching from a part of you wanted to still be involved in football and you knew that's what you could give back to the game, to be around coaching, or did you just do coaching because you love football or you knew you were good at it? What were it? Were you just a bug to get back involved at it?
I think the word, it sounds stupid, it's just necessity. I didn't know what I was going to do.
And football is all you know?
I'm not kind of, I wasn't thick at school, but I didn't know what else I could do. It got mentioned to me about doing the coaching, and my thought process went, well, I'll have a bash at it. Went on my level 2, found it quite not easy, but I thought this is all right. Then I went on like a prep course, which at the time they told you whether you could go on your full badge, and they said to me straight away, yeah, you have a go at it. I done that, and then I passed that, so that was another kind of step at that time. I thought, all right, this is quite good. And then my next kind of line I went over to Leeds United. I worked at Leeds for quite a few years. That was fantastic. It was at the time when Leeds were just taking off up at Thorpe Arch, and we had some brilliant players. And again, it just goes back to that. I've got players that now play with England that I sit and watch and I go, wow, you had a tiny wee bit of something with them.
Yeah.
And I can phone the lads and just go and watch them, just at the drop of the hat, same as I can do with you. And that's what you hope you get out of it.
Yeah, and I think you probably played yourself down in a sense of, your playing career, your coaching career, because, you are one of the best coaches that I certainly work with, and I think a lot of people would say that. So even though it's just a little part of someone's journey, I think a footballer will always remember the best coaches in their life, because like you've touched on there with Bremner, not everyone is the best coach, not everyone is the best manager, and the ones that are stand out and stick with you forever. And I think in your case, John, a lot of people will say that. I think when you look back on the conversation we've just had there, and again to put into context, the reason why we're doing this is to kind of open people's eyes to a lot of things happen in football, and a lot of mental struggles happen in football, and a lot of curveballs get thrown at you, and you can deal with them. Yeah, it's not been the ideal scenario for you, but to come through, do your full badges, work for Leeds United, managing WSL Premiership, work for some of the best academies around, still at 60-year-old being touted for jobs in academies because there's a necessity for you, because people still want to pass on to the next generation. That's credit to yourself and where you've come from and what you've done to get back. So even though John's had so much rubbish that's happened in your football career, you've still managed to stay in the game, have the longevity that you have. So again, massive props for that.
Well, again, that's a lovely thing to say, but you stay in it because you love it. And again, if I had to kind of throw stones at anything, or if I go at MD, the people I would throw stones at would be the PFA, because they never helped me the way that they should have.
And is that just in a sense of, has it evolved now? It probably wasn't as current as it is
possibly
now, with all the legislations around things and stuff, and the help for people. We've gone into not heading the football around certain age groups. There's a lot more testing available now, so that might be a reason why.
I think you're right, but I look at things that have happened in the game now, with things that have happened to do with people with head injuries, and then I watch the TV, and I look at people like ex-pros that are meant to be helping them, and I've said to the PFA, You're doing this completely. I've went through the process. I don't want money for this. I could help these people because I know the exact process that they're going through. I said, but you choose not to do that, and it's like banging your head against a brick wall.
Yeah, and I think sometimes from like you say, your point of view, you're probably a lot more emotionally attached to it because of the line of work and the career that you've had, and the shortfalls of it. But I definitely think for people watching this today, I think you'll have probably got a good insight around John, things that can happen in someone's career, and it isn't always the end. You've managed to carve yourself back into it. You're still around the game now, but from my point of view, it's been a bit of an honour really, because John's been a bit of a mentor of mine, to have him even just for 15 minutes sit down and chat like this, find out a lot more about him. So for that, John, thank you very, very much, mate, for coming in and giving me your time.
And thank you for inviting me in. Thank you.
Cheers, pal. Thank you.
Cheers.